I have a piece of trivia for you first. On this day, 23 years and 6 months ago, I seen you guys play in Dublin, supporting Cannibal Corpse. It was April 5th, 2000. So I looked that up this morning, it's exactly 23 years and 6 months.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, that was a crazy show, I remember.
Yeah, that was their Bloodthirst tour, and you were in the Redemption cycle at that point.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, really good gig.
Yeah.
So, bit of trivia to kick things off. So my first question really, I suppose, is obviously you guys broke up, came back again. So for the recording of this album, did you guys do anything different as far as like before you actually went to the studio? Did you just like, was it old school, sitting in a rehearsal room, or was it like sending files to each other? What way did you go about recording?
Well, it was, we never write any music together in the rehearsal room. We write at home by ourselves or together. So it's just sending files back and forth, and then try it out together in the rehearsal room and make the final changes there together.
Okay.
If anything needs to be done to any parts or entire songs.
Okay.
So what we did do this time around, compared to before we called it quits in 2013, we looked back to the early 2000s on what we sounded like back then, because we wanted to keep things a little more simple than we did on the last 2 albums we did before we quit. So, and I think that was a good idea.
Yeah.
Because I think the new album has more that kind of vibe, which we were looking for.
So you've answered my next question, which was that the album, for me, it went back to that Redemption sort of era. For me, that's when it went sort of back to it, and it was slightly more old school sounding. But actually, one of the things I did want to ask was, as far as you guys this time doing your own production, was that a help or a hindrance? Because sometimes with bands, you can have someone really trying to push their idea, whereas your producer might go, well, actually, this isn't working. How did that work this time?
Well, it worked pretty well, but it was the first time we did this thing where we brought the recording equipment to our rehearsal place and did it there. But we did have a professional studio engineer to record it for us. But in a way, it was very convenient since we had all our gear there. Just mic everything up and play like usual. But at the same time, it's being in a real recording studio. It gives you more inspiration in a way than seeing the same old 4 walls in the rehearsal room. So and I think that change of environment when you're working on an album is inspiring, and also maybe subconsciously enhances the performance, and you get a lot more focused when you're in the studio compared to when you're in your home.
So I suppose the next question, would you do it again? Would you self-produce, or would you go back to doing with a producer?
No, we're not going to do that.
Right.
So next time we will definitely go to a real studio to do it. Yeah. But it worked this time around, and we had reasons to do it like this. So
one of the things one of the questions is, this album here, being that it's self-produced, self-engineered, in particular, your drum sounds breathe so much more. Like it reminds me of like Redemption, when the first hits in the void, you can hear the floor tom open.
Yeah.
But there's track 2 in the album, you're doing the fills at the start, you can hear the same thing. You're going around the kit, you can actually hear like the openness of the tom. So for you guys producing it, I thought everything's more organic or analog sounding even.
Yeah, I think so too. But that has nothing to do with us doing it in our rehearsal room, But it was the magic fingers of Lawrence McCrory, who mixed and mastered the album. So he did all those. That's kind of his style, especially with the drums, to get a lot more air into the sound, and they sound very powerful yet natural, which I really really like.
It was my first sort of take was that there wasn't so much click. It wasn't just sounded like acoustic drums, but really powerful acoustic drums.
Yeah, because there are no drum samples on it. It's just all natural my drum kit that is mic'd up.
Cool. So here's a hard question, I suppose. Do you ever look back at the 30 years that's been since the start of the band, and is there anything that's been a real highlight for you in those 30 years of Vomitory's existence?
Well, yeah, we do that every once in a while and reflect on certain periods or certain events that went down, you know. But one highlight for sure is, well, obviously getting signed in 1996 so we could finally have our debut album out. That was a big thing, but also, and maybe even more important, was that we got signed to Metal Blade in '99. That's when things really started to happen for us.
Okay. So, some questions related to you. So, drum kit wise, I know you're playing Tama, you're playing Meinl, Vader, and Chachi Petro. Was the same kit used in the studio? Was you used live? Are you any alterations or anything like that there?
You mean on this tour?
Yeah.
We're using Vader's drum kit on this tour, yeah. But I have my own snare drum, a Tama SLP black brass snare. That's the exact same snare drum I used on the last album. And I'm bringing my Chachi pedals and my Meinl cymbals. So it's basically the same cymbal setup as I used on the new album as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, 2 more drum questions. Blast beat single kick or double kick?
Whatever
Some
works.
Doval style or Paul from Cannibal Corpse style?
I'm comfortable with 2
Both.
kicks. Yeah.
Right.
But I'm not. I mean, if it's done with 1 foot, that's cool. 2 feet, cool.
Okay.
As long as it's fast and it sounds brutal. Yeah.
As last question, drum kit wise, you sit sort of quite far back from the kit and you sort of everything quite low. Is that sort of conscious as far as height and stuff? And the other thing was as far as tempos and turn, how do you keep yourself in check from not speeding up too much?
I'm a tall guy, so maybe that's why I sit. I don't sit so low.
I think it's you and Hellhammer I've seen that are quite far back from the snare.
Yeah. I have long arms, so I have long reach, so maybe that's that. But yeah, the tempos, that's actually difficult at times.
Yeah.
It is, especially in the beginning of songs when we play live. So lately I've started using a small metronome that I keep on the floor beside the kit.
Yeah.
So I have the starting tempo. I don't hear the metronome sound, but there's the light indicator. So I see the tempo. So I look at that when I count in the song. So I don't start it too fast, because I usually do that. If I don't, because you're so fired up, and you think I'm not going to try to hold back a little bit now, but still it goes way too fast. So, and it's it's great that it's fast, but it should not get too fast, of course.
2 more questions for you. How have the new songs been received from your point of view live for the fans? Have they been really digging them? And,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so we're really happy to see that, during Rape Strangle, Sodomite's Dead, it's mosh pit every night.
That's what you like to see.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is the last question. Give me an influence of yours that people wouldn't expect.
The drummer, you mean?
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Thought I'd put the toughest to last.
Well, maybe Stefan Kaufmann from Accept.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Very early inspiration.
Cool.
I could name drop for like 30 minutes here. But
Cool. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for the interview.
Thank you.
Thank you.